Greetings and welcome to week 2 of Justice 125 Intro to Addictions. First of all, let me apologize for a couple of things. Darn it. A lot of you had a hard time hearing last week's lecture. I had a hard drive going out on my laptop and it was doing a lot of whining and noise making in the background, and it washed me out quite a bit. So I've switched to a different computer this week. I have a new laptop on order, should be here hopefully within a week. So hopefully we've taken care of that problem. My apologies if it was hard to hear last week. Second of all, apologies to those of you that are taking more than one of my classes this semester. I'm not sure that's necessarily always a good idea. It's nice to spread us out and take different instructors and get us in small bites, but we do have a lot of classmates that are taking this class and another justice class. And unfortunately, my week 2 lectures seem to be kind of the same a lot. So if you just sat through a week 2 lecture for another justice class, my apologies if you have to sit through one that's remarkably similar. So talking about similar, let's talk about a little bit of housekeeping. Let's talk about week 1. Week 1, I think, went pretty darn good. Looks like most of us are here. We're still missing a couple of classmates. But those of us that were here seem to start figuring out how things work. Some of you have it down pat, and I would like to think that's most of you. I'd like to think we set this up pretty easily. But if you didn't, don't sweat it. Week 1, if you were on a real live, honest to gosh, brick and mortar campus right now, you would have spent last week, week 1, worrying about where your parking spot was, worrying about where the bookstore is and when it's open, worrying about when your class meets and where it meets. So you would have had concerns on a real campus just as much as you might have had here online last week. But so let's talk about a few of those now, how it should be pretty easy. We've got this set up as folders. If you've made it this far, you've figured that out. You click on the week 2 folder, you do everything that's inside the folder. What are you going to find inside the folder? You're going to find this lecture. And if you're listening to me right now, you already found the lecture, so good. Some of us had problems, which apparently you've made it over because you're here, with finding the lecture or getting it to work. The links didn't work for some of you. If that doesn't work, if you click on the link and it doesn't work, try cutting and pasting and putting it straight into the address bar, the URL. If that doesn't work, search for it. UAS JUST125 or my name. That should take you to this site. And like I said, you've apparently found it, but in case you have to help out your classmates. So you're going to find a lecture. You're going to find a PowerPoint. Watch the PowerPoint. PowerPoint isn't a substitute for reading the chapter, but it is a refresher. It is another way to get the information. Some of us read chapters really well. I like this text. I think you can get through it well. It's easily explained. Lots of fluff on graphs and charts and things as opposed to just straight text. I think it's a good book. I like it. But the PowerPoint's just another way to see the information. So you got the lecture, you got the PowerPoint, you've got the chapter itself to read. Read the chapter. For the first 4 weeks, well, for the first 3 weeks, we have this text only. On the 4th week starting, we have a second text. Again, the chapters are easy, the chapters are short, you shouldn't have any problem. But this book talks a lot about kind of the medical model of addictions, a lot of science behind it, 12-step programs to prevent it, for rehabilitation needs. The other book, a paperback called The Fix, which hopefully you only paid a couple of bucks for, not quite so scientific, not so convinced that addiction is a chemical neural problem, and it's more of just a attention deficit, gee whiz, I see that car, I want it kind of thing. I can't leave the house without my iPhone kind of thing. So the two complement each other well. For the first 2 weeks, though, just one chapter. After that, there'll be 2 chapters. There's a writing assignment. I want you to write to me so I know that you've read the chapter and you understand it, and you're getting an understanding here. I've included some updated instructions. I know the syllabus has got instructions on how to write the paper. Last week I put some additional instructions on the startup page, the announcement page, so that should help you write. Uh, what else should help you write is the discussion board, which is the other part of each week. The discussion board is just like sitting in class, raising your hand, asking questions, answering classmates' questions. This is where we get together and hash things out. Don't skip the discussion board. Read all of it. Read the questions and your answers and the replies to your classmates. There's a lot of information there. A lot of times there's a little problem going on. One of your classmates will ask the question and I'll answer it there in the discussion board, but I might not answer it the second, third, fourth, fifth time out. So you got to read all the discussion board to get all the information about what's going on in class and about class. You saw in the syllabus that my grading style, I don't give anything below a C. You didn't get a C, you didn't pass. It's kind of up to you what grade you want to earn. You put together as many points as you want for whatever grade you want. The discussion board, if you kiss it off entirely and don't go and don't do it, there's 15 points you just lost, which doesn't take too many before we start lowering the grade. I want you to go inside this discussion board. I want you to put in real discussion, not just, oh yeah, or I agree, or that was dumb. And you can't say that was dumb anyway because we don't do any fighting and arguing or disrespectful type of activity in the discussion board. So respect at all times. There's a lot of information on the discussion board. So each week, read a chapter, uh, partake in the discussion board, listen to me right here in the lecture, write me a paper, and there we go from week to week. I think we'll get a lot out of this class. This week in this class, we're going to talk about drug use as a social problem is week 2. Oh, let me talk about week 1, just one more fast thing. If week 1 did not go perfect for you, do not sweat it, okay? Week 1 doesn't go perfect for lots of people. Catch up, get the work done. Don't understand it, look in the discussion board, look on the announcement page, get the info you need, send me an email if you need to. But don't worry if your book hasn't showed up yet, if you haven't got your paper written yet, if you can't find the discussion board, don't sweat week 1. You try to catch up and do as much as you can, but this is not a time for any kind of panicking or anxiety or anything. This is the fun part of the class, so don't worry. So, part 2, week 2. Week 2, chapter 2. Topic on the chapter is drug use as a social problem. And I don't know if that's exactly the right title because, well, we are. This chapter is studying drug use. Most of the time what we're studying is drug abuse. Drugs themselves, as we learned last week, don't really have a flavor or a character or a right or wrongness about them. It's how you use them. And so even though this chapter is called drug use as a social problem, we're again talking drug abuse. Is taking the drug somehow a burden or a problem or a drag on society? Maybe the behavior it produces, maybe what it takes to get that drug. Excuse me. So how does this drug use affect society? Is this chapter's week's topic. Kind of interesting. I'm taping this on a Sunday. This morning, Sunday Anchorage Daily News came out with the headline across the front page, top banner headline, saying that Alaskans were going to get to vote on recreational pot usage. It looks like the petition gatherers are. I'm sorry, allergy time. It looks like the petition gatherers are getting enough signatures to put it on a ballot. So we might join Washington as Colorado, maybe, as okaying recreational marijuana use. There's some misnomer that Alaska already, that recreational use of marijuana is already legal in Alaska. We talk a little bit about that in some of the other works we've done this week. That's back on the Raven decision. There was some discussion on the discussion board about that last week. That's where it was at. And how that's a privacy issue court decision. What the courts were saying is Privacy issue, the privacy clause in the Alaska Constitution is stronger than the privacy clause in the U.S. Constitution. And because of that, because your privacy right is so strong in Alaska, I guess we're going to laugh at the teacher for coughing and sneezing too much during this lecture, huh? Because the privacy is such a high right in Alaska that we're not allowed to violate your privacy by arresting you for small amounts of marijuana usage inside your home. It has absolutely nothing to do with public use. It has absolutely nothing to do really with even getting it. The old marijuana, medical marijuana law has something to do with that, but I'm going to sneeze and cough again. So look at the chapter. That's what the discussion is this week, social problems. Give me a call if you need anything, and good luck with this week.